One of my favorite leadership quotes is that you cannot export what you haven't already imported. You can't export what you yourself don't already have. You can't give away to others something that you yourself don't even have. And I think it's so important as leaders for us to constantly maintain this growth mindset. It's important for us to be able to impart to others those things that we have, and so we have to make sure that we're constantly in this growth mindset and that we really have a humble learning posture. Humility to me is the number one leadership quality that we can possess, is that humility, that ability to be able to take ownership of our mistakes. The four most important words a leader can say is, I messed that up. Because I don't want to follow someone who has it right all the time, who can't make a mistake, and they're constantly blaming other people and other circumstances for their mistakes. I want to follow someone who has the humility to own when they messed up. And so in order for us to have that humble learning posture, it's vital for our growth and our success as leaders, because once you start to develop this mindset of, hey, I've made it. I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've finally made it. I can now relax. I can now sit back and just chill for a little bit. That's when it becomes very dangerous. A very dangerous and toxic place to be, because it's at that point you stop growing. That's when the drift sets in. And I talk about the drift in my book, Crush the Quit. Again, I've been a life and business coach for about 12 years. And one of the things that I've seen in my clients is something called a drift. It's this deadly continuum that I've identified in my clients. So it starts out, and everybody, even Navy SEALs, every human being on this planet has a natural propensity to drift towards comfort, to drift towards just being a little lazy in life. And as we drift towards comfort, we find ourselves comfortable. We don't really push ourselves much anymore. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we're comfortable being comfortable. And if that comfort goes unchecked, that leads then to complacency, where we really just don't care much anymore, and we've become extremely complacent, extremely passive. And then when that complacency goes unchecked, that leads to apathy. And if apathy goes unchecked, it leads to atrophy or death. I can't tell you how many people I've been coaching, that I've talked to, that have allowed that drift from comfort to complacency to apathy, just not caring much anymore, and then atrophy. I've seen the death of marriages. I've seen the death of relationships. I've seen people's health declining, and I've seen careers fall by the wayside because people have bought into this drift and they haven't been aware of this continuum that happens in every single human being. The antidote to that is doing something hard. Everyone say, do something hard.
Do something hard.
That's right. We have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable in life. So do something hard every single day to get outside of that comfort zone. Maybe you're taking the steps instead of the elevator that day. Maybe you're simply just walking the dog around the block another time. Maybe you're choosing to run an extra mile on the treadmill or lift an extra set in the gym. Those are all kind of physical things. I've got a great buddy of mine, Tom. He loves doing cold plunges. I hate the cold. The cold is what gets most guys to quit in buds. But you know what? It's necessary for us. It's good because it gets us outside of that comfort zone. So what have I done? I take, for the last minute of my shower, my daily shower, the last minute I'll turn that water as cold as possible and just sit there underneath that cold water getting uncomfortable. But it doesn't have to be just physical. What if you pick up your computer and you write that email to that person that you've been trying to avoid over the last several months or years? What if you pick up the phone and you have that very uncomfortable phone call that you've been putting off? What if you pick up the phone and ask someone for forgiveness? What if you tell someone that you're sorry? So my encouragement to you is, again, every single day to do something that is uncomfortable, gets outside of your comfort zone to really help us as leaders, preventing us from that drift towards comfort and then complacency and apathy and atrophy.